Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast, a fan podcast dedicated to Manchester United Football Club. Like always, before we begin, subscribe through Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify, and follow on Instagram and TikTok at the Red Devils Corner Kick Pod, and on X at RD Corner Kick Pod. I hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. It is back to Monday. But international break has still been continuing on. If you watched the Portugal game yesterday, 5-0 for Portugal, João Felix with 2, Ronaldo with 2, and then João Cancelo with 1. But no, I was happy with the win. They're playing Hungary on Tuesday. And if your team did play, and I know England won as well, Canada won their friendly on Friday. Yeah, it's been somewhat of a decent time for international break. Part of the reason why I didn't record an episode earlier, it is the NFL back this week, so I was watching my NFL team. But this isn't a podcast about NFL. It is a podcast about Manchester United football. Now, obviously, this episode's coming out a little late to the party. Obviously, over the last 24 hours, you've heard about the loan for Andre Onana. I don't want to mess this up. Onana is going to Trabzonspor. So that came out yesterday, and then we're now everything has now been finalized. So the player has agreed. The player is now leaving. So he is now off to the Turkish league. What does this mean now for Sami Lemens and then Altay Bayındır? So we have them now as our two keepers. Is Lemens going to start right away? Are we going to start off with Bayındır? I guess we'll have to see how the week goes and see what Ruben decides. Obviously, not many players went off to international break, like I mentioned last episode, but you still have a few there that are training. I know the Kobbie Mainoo drama is still continuing and should not be where it is. So I'm not going to really talk about that. It's just why continue with that? It's just the way things are. But it's just interesting how everything just plays into it. And again, the whole Ruben Amorim fan base again. Why are we doing I've had a rant about this as well. Also, the good thing too is Cunha and Mount, their injury updates, not as serious as expected. So we could potentially have them back for next week. Again, it's Sunday. We won't know more until Wednesday from what I'm hearing that everyone is going to be reporting back to Carrington on Wednesday. Some of the players have already been training during their time. But again, it's hard to predict what the lineup's going to be like next Sunday because, again, we are a week away from the derby, the Manchester derby between us and City. So we'll see how everything progresses during the week. But I am excited. I'm excited to be back next week. It is a little quiet, not having the Premier League there, but again, international duties as well definitely did help. Obviously, watching Canada and as well as Portugal, and then on Tuesday watching Portugal for their match. So, because again, it's World Cup qualifier, so we have a lot of stuff that needs to be done. And because again, we still have a couple more international breaks once qualifiers have completed, and then we have, I believe, the World Cup draw is set for December. So, a little excited for that. But yeah, so let's talk about what everyone else has been talking about. And the one thing too I'm going to discuss is United moving in the right direction? Because again, this correlates with the Andre Onana situation. I do say a lot. I do apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. But here we are. Again, Onana has been transferred. This has been part of a situation. Listen, when Amorim came in, he explained how everything was going to go down. He explained how fans are going to feel. He explains how things are going to work out and how things are going to play on. There were going to be days where the storm is here. Like, we were going to suffer. There were going to be struggles. And yes, some of the struggles have kind of continued a little bit. Like, we've had the first 4 games this season of all competitions, and has it gone the way we wanted it to? No. The fan base exploded after the game against Arsenal. We were losing it after the draw against Fulham. We lost our mind after the loss against Grimsby. And then we were happy with the win, but still concerned. And now we're in this situation here. And now the transfer window has closed. Again, there's another transfer going on because other countries still have other leagues still have their transfer window. Saudi, the Turkish league, for example, as Onana is off to the Turkish league. And Ruben set standards, which is great. And some fans are happy with it. And other fans could care less because all they care about what United do on the pitch, no matter who's part of the squad. And it's Ruben's job to get those players set to there because, again, if they were the manager, they'd have all their players play a certain way and then so on and so forth. But that's not how things need to get done. Like I mentioned last episode, and I've mentioned in episodes before, it takes a long time to set up a culture. It takes a long time to set up everything that you need to do to be successful going forward in the future. The one thing that's great is the board has backed Ruben. I myself have, and I don't want to see Ruben gone. And I've mentioned before, I didn't want to see Ten Hag gone either. Because, again, you have to remove players. The one thing I would say is, and you can dictate how it is, Ten Hag probably was restricted on the players that he had and knew that those players that he wanted gone probably wouldn't have gone. And it's the truth. But with Ruben and Ineos, who, yes, you can have your mixed reviews about Sir Jim and Ineos and how they've been handling things. But the one thing they're trying to do is establish a culture and establish like a system where we can get players out, and we have to start abiding by that system. They started looking at the whole 2-year thing, and, Rashford is out on loan to Barcelona. Sancho's out on his loan. Garnacho's gone. Højlund has moved on. Onana is now on loan. Potentially could be moving on next summer. Malacia is still going on. Antony has moved on as well. So we have, made changes and started to look towards the right way, holding players accountable, not allowing player power, and establishing a way of life for this club, which has been missing for the last 10 years. And with Ruben, that started with him because he's expected it. He even said that to Onana back last year. Like, he expects the players to play a certain way. Onana has not lived up to that. Apparently, there's an article stating that the board agreed that he would not be considered a starter for this club. Off they got Semi Lamens. Him and Altay Bayındır will be competing for the top spot as keeper. So we don't know how things are going to continue on, but it's going to take time to build what we want. And United have a lot of work to do. And it can't be done in this transfer window. It can't be done in next winter. And chances are it may not even be done next summer. It's going to take time. Like, forget about the records and the points and everything, and like screw the media and like some of the fan channels that bring this up. But like, those weren't his players. He did not, like, the only players that he kind of had an idea on was probably Patrick Dorgu. And then this summer here, he got the pieces there. Listen, this summer they addressed certain issues. They're not always going to get every player that you want because of spending and everything. Again, the Glazers, we can go on about them and all that stuff. It's the way it is. But like with the way things are, but right now they have to start building in the right way. And is United on the right path right now? I would say yes, because it's very early on in the stages. If this was any other manager, they wouldn't have cleared. Mourinho wanted to move on with certain players. Ralf Rangnick made mentions. Ollie made mentions. Ten Hag probably made ideas because he wanted to move players on. He kind of, we all know what happened there with him. And then Ruben Amorim is now making chances with that. So we have to look at how everything is playing out. And it's going to take time. Like I mentioned, time is everyone's friend and also enemy at the same time. So it's just a matter of what's going to happen. And yes, Onana's gone, and I mentioned the other players from the bomb squad and Rasmus Højlund, who I didn't really consider part of that, but we've had, what is it, 6 players moved on, including those gone on to transfer. So things are being done in the right way. A set culture is being established here, which is great. Listen, I know as the fan base, we demand wins now. They demand, like the fan base demands a Premier League championship this year, not realizing what Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, Newcastle have fucking done in the transfer window. They would love to ignore all that. But they expect Man United to be ready to go. Set there, like, I'm going to make this sound like another rant again, but I don't want that. But United are working in the right direction to get this culture correct. And you saw that there. You saw the players moved on. You saw what had happened here. And for a while, you probably look at it like, some players just, some like Ten Hag did move on players. I'm not saying that he didn't. I'm not saying that Ollie didn't. I'm not saying Marino, but they've done more movement now for the players that have been here for a long time, who've gone through 3 managers. Ruben would be technically their 3rd manager. Some more, some 5. Like Rashford made his comments about, changes and everything, and so. But guess what? He's contributed with those managers for being gone. We saw how he was with Ten Hag. We saw what happened with Ruben when he first came in. Like, there were struggles there. So Manchester made the right choice. But from what I'm seeing here, they're on the right track. I know not everyone over the last year liked what Ineos has done. And please understand that this is not an episode where it's a let's stick up for Ineos thing. It's just an episode where I'm going to be talking about other stuff too. Again, Cunha Mount injuries and some other stuff as well. But the reason why I'm going in the right direction comment was because the Andre Onana transfer settles a point where United are finally doing stuff that should have been done. They set a culture where if you're not performing after 2 years, you're done. They're moving on from it. But they understand it can take time, but they're going to move on from it. They're getting young players in to build the youth academy, build that culture. Same with the main team, the main squad. You're getting youthful players to play in, make change. Like they're doing the right things. And it's going to be terrible at first, but in the end game, it's going to be better. Again, they're aiming for a couple of years to be title contenders, to aim for to try and get the Prem. And I hope that it's Ruben holding it up in a couple of years. I do. I think everyone here is hoping that it's Ruben Amorim in a couple of years holding up that Premier League trophy. But right now, we have to be patient. And moving on from Onana, moving on from Højlund, Antony, Garnacho. Like, again, Garnacho, the attitude, the reports that came out before the Europa League final saying that he was going to go to Chelsea, that he wanted to go to Chelsea, and that he was telling that to everyone. Like, that's something that had to get removed. Rashford, the way he was acting, had to get removed. At the beginning, when Casemiro came and saw what was going on with Amorim wasn't starting him. Casemiro understood what he needed to do, and he got himself back in. Like, you have managers there that are there to help you and also push you. Unfortunately, some of the players that we had in this locker room were not willing to do what was needed to be done. So, it is what it is. We've moved on from it. Those players are gone. Some are still here, but they're going to potentially be gone. So, but everyone needs to understand that's not going to happen in one transfer window. And next summer, and I've mentioned this before, next summer there's going to be changes too. Casemiro won't be here. Bruno is potentially leaving. Onana could potentially be gone next summer. Same with Sancho, Rashford could all be gone next summer. Ugarte could be done because, again, he is struggling this season. Hopefully Meno is here. You're going to have Collier coming back. You're establishing a culture that needs to help grow this club. Harry Maguire may be gone next summer too. So it's going to be, you're here to establish a certain way of life. And right now they're trying to get those players in. There's even comments of the way Kobbie Mainoo has been acting. And I even mentioned too, if this is the way he's going to be acting, have him go. Sell him, get some profit in, have him go. And that's the case here. That like he would need to leave. But if he's willing to put in the work and what needs to be done and get himself better, then he himself has grown as a player. But I think everyone needs to understand that the way the culture needs to be here is great. You have to be, not sure I say great, but the culture here, it shouldn't be of one of the past. And that's what they're trying to do. That's what this club is trying to do. That's what Ineos is trying to do with Ruben. Now, nobody's going to like it. Obviously, nobody likes what most owners do, but the owners and the managers have to do what's best for the club. Forget what we have to say. We're always going to have an opinion. The 58 are always going to do a protest on things that are affecting the club and the fan base, but they're going to do it in the right reasons. But it's good, like, and again, you still protest about the Glazers, getting them out. But like I said, there's always going to be something that someone's not going to like, and they're going to make it a big deal. And it has to be given time. And it doesn't help that like people like Sky, CBS Golazola, who else is there? Some fan channels pushing the Amorim agenda doesn't help either. There are fan channels out there that support Amorim, but there's a lot of fan channels out there that are saying just get rid of him now because of the way things are. Nobody here is willing to wait now. And this fan base has proven it. Some fan channels have proven it. The media just scripts it and just sets it up there. Ex-players, former players that we think that are loyal to this club, or some of them are trying to push out Amorim. It's the truth. And I know people are talking about Paul Scholes and the signings of the midfielders. FYI, Paul Scholes also made comments about Matthias de Ligt last year. And look how de Ligt has been. So him making those comments about the 210s and the whatever, I mean, he's the same guy that thought Matthias de Ligt isn't impressive. So let's remember that as well. So right now, the culture is starting to get set. It's taking time to build up in the right direction. But no fan, like, again, this isn't an episode directed to trying to get everyone to love Ineos. But again, they're trying to create something here. And Ruben is trying to lead that because it has to be done. It has to get a certain way. And because it can't be like the old days. So in the end, when you're looking at it here, in my opinion, is United moving in the right direction? The answer is yes. They are moving in the right direction because we saw the removal of players. We saw the changes that need to be done. Players that were not working out. Players with attitude got moved out. So are they moving in that direction? Yes. Like I just said, they are moving in right directions. The fan base is not going to, some members of the fan base are not liking this. Oh, well. Myself, I do like it. They're doing the right things to help improve this culture, try to bring it back. Some with youth. Some people aren't going to like the signings because they prefer this, this, and this. But again, certain players weren't signed because those signings wanted certain salaries. Osimhen, Donnarumma, they wanted high salaries. United didn't want that anymore. The one thing with the Onana transfer is his salary's off the books. We're not receiving any loan deals. they were paying the full salary. And from what I read in an article or whatever, you might be getting a small increase as well. So that's there. But also the one thing too is Onana came in this season requesting a 25% increase in his salary. Let's be real here. That wasn't happening, especially with what he just did in Grimsby and what he did sometimes last year. So, and I guess he was doing it the season before as well, but he knew what this contract was going to be if they did not make Champions League. Maybe he should have performed better. Maybe he should have stopped the goals, but he didn't. He struggled. So here we are. So for me, having these guys here, having, improvements and getting things going is the right thing. And Ineos is going to do the right steps. Having Amram him here, being him that type of coach or manager, putting the set expectations on these players. If that's going to help them improve, then that's going to help our culture, help Manchester United, help this squad get better. Remember, we have 3 new players on the attack that need to adjust to here. And it's going to take time. You already seen what Mbeumo can do. You already saw what Cunha can do. Šeško is going to take time. He is young. Lenny Earl has been fantastic. Like, our back 3, I think, is set. Having Mazraoui here does help back up the 3, or he can be put anywhere. He has shown how great of a signing he was, not just for Ten Hag, but he's showing how great of a signing he is to help out with Amram, because he's able to adjust and play in that system, like play in that formation very well. When you had Harry Maguire, you saw the success of Harry Maguire. Like, you've seen the tactics of Ruben Amorim using the players that he has. You've seen him use the tactics when it came to Harry Maguire in certain situations. Like I mentioned before, the header that Harry Maguire got is the reason why he was brought on to do what he did against Fulham. Like, his job was to try and get the header and get the win. That's what he was there for. As much as you want to say about this attack, this and this, and you're upset that Harry Maguire was brought on, look what he did last year for wins with his header. He's the reason why we tied Porto last year. If we were not getting that header, especially being a man down, we were gonna struggle with the possible remainder of Europa. Not going to say exact because we did well, but with Europa, there are some questions there going forward, and Ten Hag was probably being sacked after the Porto game. But what he did against Lyon, what he did in other games last year, what he did against Burnley, there's a reason why Ruben Amorim brings him on, for a tactical reason. So everyone can hate this formation, saying, oh, there's 5 at the back. There's not 5 at the back, ladies and gentlemen. There's 3 at the back. It is just the people that we have out on wings are only defensive players that we have. Dorgu is developing and getting his offensive side going. He can carry the ball up. He can be offensive, and he can track back. He is technically a wing back. Ahmad is going to be the other wing back. Dalot has always been a left back, but it has to be in that wing back role. This attack, it's always been 3 there. It is just the personnel that we're putting in certain positions. The media now, everyone out there is saying it's 5 at the back. It's not 5 at the back. If it was 5 at the back, when you're seeing the lineup, like always, you're going to see them all at the back. They will always be there. And you would only see the remainder 5 go up on the attack. But that's not the case. So the direction that Man United are going is in a positive one and going forward. And yes, they're in the right direction in the end. So, but we as a fan base need to be patient with it. So right now it's going to take time, but the personnel, the players, the movement of players out is happening. I guarantee it. If we're with Ten Hag, Rashford, Garnacho would all still be here potentially. I don't know if he was going to have the clear out. I don't know if he was going to be asked to do the clear out. And there's questions of contracts and everything with those players that he kept starting. So there's a lot of things behind the scenes with Erik Ten Hag that we may not know about. I'm not defending him because he did have some failures, but it's about getting everything else as well. I'm just going to leave it there. Just going to set it there because in the end, I'm going to keep repeating myself saying yes. Ineos and Amorim are going in the right direction with this club. It's just I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy with it, but at the end of the day, in the future, we're going to look back and be like, it had to be done. It had to be done potentially this way to what we got now in the future. So all I ask is be patient. Just look how it goes. It's just a matter of, hey, what needs to be done. And again, everyone's going to have an opinion. Nobody's going to like what a certain manager's doing. Because again, if the manager's not doing it the way they wanted them to do, they're going to throw a hissy fit. But if the manager did it his way and he's succeeding, then the person's like, okay, he knows what he's doing. Because again, you may like a certain way, but if we put it in that person's way, how do you know it's going to be successful? So the whole 4-3-3 crap needs to end too, because again, the 3-4-3, we know it's not the issue. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's not 5 at the back. Come on, it's not. It's 3 at the back. You know the personnel that we have here. And some people are just putting that agenda, well, it's 5 at the back. It's not. Let's just be that. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. So, okay. Let's move into some other things that are going on with the club. So, Cunha, Mount, Delo. We're still waiting on updates on Delo because I know he was recalled back. But Cunha, Mount injuries, it does seem like there's a positive with them returning back to the club. We've seen videos of Cunha getting training in, Mount as well, just getting rehab and stuff done. So their injuries aren't much, injuries were still a concern. Mount was taken off, obviously, for a precaution. He was dealing with a knock, so he didn't want to force it to make it worse for him, but Mount is rehabbing at the moment. Also, Cunha is rehabbing as well. His injury, his pull, wasn't as severe as they thought. So we may, with the rest that they got, and then plus what's going on next week, we may see them back for Manchester or against the Derby. So that's working in our favor. Having them back, being prepared, getting things going, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. So we'll again, what does this mean? We're probably not going to see Cunha and Mount start next week. We're probably going to see them brought on. I'm going to do my preview probably next Friday for the episode, so keep an eye on for that episode. But right now, it's just a matter of how things are going to look. Again, players won't be back until Wednesday. Bruno, De Ligt, Casemiro, Dorgu, I believe, is out on there. Ahmad has been out. Mbeumo is out as well. I don't think Mazraoui went. Obviously, majority of our English players were not called up to the national team. So Mainu, Maguire were not called up. Ugarte, it was sent out as well. Sesko should be back too. So everyone should be designated back Wednesday for that. I know Portugal's got their game on Tuesday. I believe right after that, they're flying back to, Bruno Fernandes, the only one that's out. Delo was back to Carrington, getting healthy. So right now it's a matter of just getting things going. So some players will be refreshed. Some players have already played. Some of them will be 2 games in a week. So obviously fitness will be a concern. Bruno, we know, is machine. So potentially we may see Kobe and Bruno together. So as long as all the players come back healthy, that is a win for United. But I'm sure Ruben's going to manage the game. Because again, we're only playing 1 game a week. So we have Manchester City on next Sunday, and then the following week, Chelsea. The one thing too is Champions League is starting that week. So yeah, so let me just take a look here. That's the one thing I noticed. Let me just get everything here. England or Champions League. So yes, because today's the 7th. So next weekend, the following weekend, we have Champions League is the following week, because we're going to have, so Chelsea's playing the Wednesday, the 17th. And when does Man City play? Wednesday they play the 18th. So, so that's the one thing too, is when we're looking at it, Chelsea's got a game midweek. Man City's got a game on Thursday. They're playing on the Sunday. So, and when does Chelsea, and then we're playing Chelsea that Saturday. That could be adjusted to the Sunday. I'm not going to say that's going to be, but it could be. But we have a Wednesday, Saturday game. So, yeah. But yeah, we have City on Sunday. They have Champions League, so that could be depending on how things are going to go with them too. But again, they're not playing until late Thursday, so it all depends on what Pep's doing. But we're only playing one game a week. Some of our next opponents are all playing during the week. So, like, let me just take a look here. Yeah, because I'm just going to look at City. City does have to play next week. They play late in the next week, the Thursday. So it's hard to predict what the matchup is. But again, next Friday I'll discuss that. So we'll look at it there. But having having too many mouths to feed does help us in this scenario over the next couple of weeks, because we're going to have depth. We're going to have players there that aren't going to be playing throughout the week. So having like longevity, having fitness does help. So I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy with the reduced minutes, but at this time, having Cunha and Mount can be eased back in. Having people like Xerxes who could start, Manu who could start, does help. So it's just a matter of tinkering and putting certain players in certain positions to get things going. So it's just going to, Ruben's got a lot of stuff to do this week with players coming back from international break, make sure that they're rested, make sure that they're fit, ready to go. So, it's just a matter of that. And I don't want to be looking past Man City, but Champions League is there. So, but I'll discuss everything on Friday for the next episode. Not my next episode, but for the preview episode, like I always do. So, but I'm gonna end it there for the episode of the podcast. Again, I'll be back. I'm probably gonna be back Tuesday. Yeah, I'm gonna aim for Tuesday night to record and release one, and then be back Friday with a new episode after that, or potentially Wednesday, just in case if anything does break. Like, for example, Onana going to Turkish League. Sorry, excuse me there. But right now, it's just a matter of patience with this club. Again, like I mentioned when I started off, the club is in the right direction. That's what I'm just going to leave it as. The club is in the right direction, or they're trying to build something that's going to go in the right direction. So it's just a matter of being patient with it. So, but yes, don't forget to follow on YouTube, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And then don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, follow, comment, feedback, helping me growing with this podcast. Thank you to all those who have already subscribed, and to my new followers. I do appreciate it. Thank you. And then TikTok, Instagram, the Red Devils Corner Kick Pod, and then X at the RD Corner Kick Pod. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the start of your week. Hopefully it goes by quick for you. And it's the weekend. Again, we're a week away from Manchester United playing again. So make sure you keep an eye on that. But yes, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have yourself a good week. I will see you guys Tuesday. This is the Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast. Glory, glory, Man United.